Hey everybody, let's have a look at IELTS speaking and some do's and don'ts. I'm going to try to do some samples based on what I see from students, then I'll correct those areas that students need to work on, and I'll demonstrate exactly what happens with candidates in the exam. In this case, you have a sample speaking exam, parts 1, 2, and 3. Let's pick any question here. Let's say we're picking this one. Is family important to you? Now, there are versions of these answers that I see. For example, one version might be, is family important to me? That is a very interesting question. This start sounds extremely robotic. The examiner knows someone told you, repeat the question, comment on the question, like that's very interesting, and then continue. And likely you're going to do everything the same way, and then you will lose marks. You don't want to do a rigid start. Only say it's interesting if it is interesting to you. If you feel some other way about this question, is family important to you? For example, you say something like, that's something that I always think about. Or you say, yes, absolutely. These are natural responses. So be natural with the start so you have real expressions. Now, is family important to you? Let's continue this answer. Yeah, family is very important to me. My mom is everything to me, and my dad too, he also helps a lot. So I think family helps a lot, and they are very good people in life to have. The problem here is the way I'm saying things is very casual, and a lot of you do this. You do the ums, you do the so's, you do the you knows. It's the most common thing we see, and the simple way to eliminate that is to not say them, pause instead, and use connectors. Let's try this again. Yes, family is very important to me. First of all, I think the person who is the most valuable in my life is likely my brother. He is a source of joy to me. He's also very caring and kind. Furthermore, my other family members, for example, my relatives, are also very close to me, and so on. So this time you saw how much more control I had. I always tell people, think of Barack Obama and the way he speaks, okay? Pausing in between your sentences and thoughts. It helps you also relax and not be anxious, and that nervousness actually reduces many marks for many people. So you're trying to be calm, and those pauses help you be calm. It helps you with the tone, and it helps you to think about the next thing to say. It also helps you to eliminate your fillers. So there's multiple benefits. Apart from that, I used connectors, like first of all, and furthermore, and something else. So use connectors where you can. Now still, our answer is not organized. This is a difference between day-to-day speaking and your exam speaking. This is something else you have to factor in. Now that you are making these answers, you have to think logically as to when you can do 1 point. When 1 point is done, do the second point. If you have room for a third point, you can do that too. Basically, 2 to 3 points are more than enough. You don't need more than 3. And when you are speaking, you have to literally count. Here's what I mean. Family is very important to me. I think among everybody on this planet, at least for me, my brother John is just simply my source of happiness and joy. He's my little brother. He's an extremely funny kid. And for me to be around him just gives me so much happiness that I can't even explain. Okay, so now in my mind, I'm thinking, what is this thing that I just said? I talked about John, my brother, giving me happiness. This is 1 point. This is done. And this was all centered around happiness. So this is good. Okay, now let me jump to my next point. Moreover, also, likewise, plus. So this is me telling the examiner that I'm moving on to my second point, and this is me telling myself the same thing. And this will help me gain marks because I am separating my ideas. Moreover, my relatives are also extremely close to me. They are more elder than me. Therefore, whenever I need some sort of support, financial or something to do with just emotional support, I rush towards them and they never disappoint. Okay, so this was my second point. Now, let me do this second point in another way. Okay, right now I did the right way. Let me do this in another way, because this is also something that happens a lot. Moreover, my relatives are a source of joy and happiness for me too. They're always there when I need help financially. Sometimes I ask for money and they always give the money to me. We also have lots of parties and my relatives throw really good parties. Now, what happened here? This one was messy. Why? I was talking about relatives, but I gave you too many points without explaining any point. I said they're a source of happiness, didn't tell you why. Then I said that financially they're good. I run to them for money. And that's maybe an explanation. I run towards them for money, but you should explain this more. It's not enough explanation. And thirdly, they throw big parties. Okay, but then why or how is that a good thing? How does it make you feel? Not explained. And the worst sin is I have done 3 points here without explaining any point in detail. All right, so I should again focus on just one other point. Like one point about my brother John was already done. Another point should have a central focus, essentially. So this would be me talking about my relatives, and let's say we talk about that party thing, right? My relatives are also very close to me. This might be kind of an unimportant reason. This is not something significant in life, but I just love them because they throw really good parties. I am a very extroverted person. I love going to parties and meeting new people, and my relatives are basically what you call party freaks. Hence, just hanging around them gives me those invitations to their parties, and I would not miss it for the world. So now this is centered around relatives throwing parties and how you feel about them. Okay, so make sure your points are focused. You count your points, 1 point, 2 point, or third point if you have room for a third point, and you separate them with connectors, you use pauses, and you don't use fillers. The same thing happens in part 3, not much different. The only difference is the question types become more formal, and you have to maybe explain with more reasons and examples depending on the question type. When it comes to part 2, you usually have 4 to 5 bullet points. Again, here, what I always tell students is to do 2 points per bullet. For example, tell me about your family traditions. What traditions do you have? How the traditions started? Why they have continued. Okay, so we'll just make up something, all right? So we have a lot of family traditions in our small family, nuclear family is what you can call it. One of them is always praying before we eat food. Another one is not going out after certain hours because we believe in the supernatural. And another one is, okay, now stop. Maybe you have 10 different traditions, but you want to keep it limited to just 1 to 2 points. Now, because here you have the word traditions, you have to give 2. So we'll just focus on those 2. The supernatural thing, going out late at night, and praying before eating. Okay, how did the traditions start? Now, maybe both traditions started the same way. So my grandfather made these traditions and we've been following them. That's not good enough. Even if that's the truth, you have to add another point. Now, that other point could be, before my grandfather, my ancestors used to do it too, but then there was a little pause in between. However, my grandfather resumed it. So now it's more of an elaboration of the same thing. Or you can also add a completely new point. Another reason why we have really been sticking to these traditions is because now we have converted into a different religion, and that also requires us to be steadfast with these traditions. Okay, so you got 2 points. Next, why they have continued, and so on. So you get the point. Try to make sure you do 2 points per bullet. This way the examiner will never say that you're missing task response or you have issues like elaboration, which affect many other marks too. Another mistake students make is when they're going between these bullets, they don't use any connectors. You have to use connectors here. Extremely important. Sometimes examiners who are humans, they can lose track of your points too. So you're kind of telling the examiner too that moreover, likewise, accordingly, when you say these things, you're signaling to the examiner, hey, I'm moving on to my next point. So focus, all right? Give me the marks for me moving on to my next point and explaining that, because the examiner may miss it. They are humans after all. And it also helps you because you keep organized and you know, okay, now I'm talking about this, furthermore I'm talking about this, accordingly I'm talking about this. Overall, how do I feel about this? Okay, overall, I personally feel now you keep really focused and structured. These are the tips and techniques you need to follow in all three parts of IELTS speaking. Once you do it, you will have no issues gaining the top mark and avoiding the common pitfalls students make. If you liked this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Talk to you soon.